Well, I found some time to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yeah. And, well, just right off the bat, it's not a bad movie. I haven't really had time to watch the previous two, and then, of course, there's all the extras, Infinity War and stuff like that, and then the holiday special, which I like the holiday special, okay. But as whether is Volume 3 the best of the batch, it's certainly a contender in a lot of ways, but I was never a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually like the second one better than the first one, which is the opposite of just about everybody else. It through no fault of its own, it's just what was taken from it. Is that the Marvel, MCU, what have you, began to believe that the comedy was the secret sauce to the success of Marvel. And, of course, right off the bat, Ragnarok, you see it. And Ragnarok, in a lot of ways, I thought, that's the real Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Because it's Guardians of the Galaxy just with Thor characters. And a pale knockoff of it. Ragnarok is much better than Love and Thunder, but Love and Thunder shows you what happens when they become obsessed with that template. And, of course, the humor destroyed Love and Thunder. Even though there was a rather dark and touching narrative there that they failed to take advantage of at the expense for the purposes of the humor, you know. Here, you do have the humor in it, but it's weaved so much better. And with a very heartbreaking story. I mean, really dark. And I could see people were complaining that there was animal cruelty in it, which I expected because you had hints at the backstory of Rocket in the other films. And so, yeah, it's going to be something like that. And didn't really see anything that I was taken aback by as far as not expecting it. I mean, yeah, it's pretty gruesome in a lot of ways, but I understand it, and it plays in. This is Rocket's movie, basically. Everybody else is kind of the backup characters, really, even Star-Lord. They have their moments and everything. But the main story and pulse of this thing is Rocket's story. So there's flashbacks mostly for Rocket, right, where he's unconscious through most of the movie because he's badly wounded, and the whole plot is to save him, which they do because they become this family, they love him, and all that, And it plays out very well. I mean, sure, they got to get the thing to save Rocket, so they go to get the thing. But what else you got to do? And all kinds of adventure and shenanigans ensue. There's an awful lot of silliness here and there just in the designs of things, and maybe that's a bit much, but that's to be expected by it. But still, after sitting through Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange and stuff like that, they managed to rein this in. I mean, Love and Thunder really just killed it for me. I still haven't seen Wakanda Forever, which, granted, is not a comedy. It's all dour and stuff because the sad passing of Chadwick Boseman and not recasting the character and so on and so forth. Ant-Man I still haven't seen. I was so bummed at what I heard, and I was just... Yeah, I mean, after, again, Love and Thunder, really, Doctor Strange and Love and Thunder really ruined it for me. And was just pretty much tapped out of Marvel. And seeing it still in a downward spiral, which is to the detriment of Guardians Volume 3, even though it's probably the best done since Spider-Man. Spider-Man No Way Home is infinitely superior to this one. But this was a good send-off for these characters and a cohesive story, and you got a great villain, which is often one of the main criticisms of the MCU. The villains just aren't that great. Thanos was good, and you get a few here and there that are all right, but they never really measure up to the level of quality they've had for the success of some of the successful iterations of the superheroes. But High Evolutionary comes across just pure evil and arrogant and narcissistic at the same time, and obviously deeply psychotic. And the whole thing boils down to this jealousy that he developed over Rocket, even though he's saying, I created you, and yet Rocket figures out one of the equations they're trying to master in the flashbacks, and it breaks him, And it all fits. It fits with how the character is portrayed here. So the actor does a very good job at this. Maybe they should just come back and rewrite it that he's another variant of Kang. He becomes the new Kang, who's supposed to be their big bad. Or just the High Evolutionary is the big villain, and they just go on with him and forget about Kang. He doesn't really do a whole lot of time travel stuff in the stories, but and a lot of things, there's quite the departure, certainly in the case of Warlock. Now, I don't know why they have to be that far removed. There is this connection between High Evolutionary and Adam Warlock, but it's not quite there. And he's kind of he's just an idiot character. So it's pretty bad on the treatment of that character. The average moviegoer has no idea who he is and all of that. So would it matter in that? No, it wouldn't. Going forward with him, I don't know. The way it ends, there's a new Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket in charge. I suppose, and probably more in cameos of other movies, provided there's still an MCU to survive. And it says Star-Lord will return at the end, even though he's no longer a member of the team. He goes home to meet his grandpa. And maybe they'll do a Star-Lord film at some point, and Guardians might show up. Who knows? But perhaps there's some redemption for Adam Warlock later. But his main story, the Infinity Saga, has already come and gone. Dead, and they didn't feature him in it, so I don't know. The actor playing him is fine and everything, but they don't. He's kind of the butt of the joke in it, and so what are you gonna do? But average moviegoer, again, probably just doesn't care. So the main thing is how Rocket's story unfolds. It's very, very dark and very, very sad. And ultimately, he proves he's the better being over High Evolutionary. But you kind of knew that already anyway. But the good guys win overall, but boy, there's a high price to pay for poor Rocket and his life. And also, in keeping with his character, in that he becomes this cynical, foul-mouthed seeming bastard. But hey, look what he's been through, and all that. So for the most part, there's some good resolutions for these characters. Even though, all of them are pretty far afield from the comic book material. There's Easter eggs and whatnot tossed around for that, but still, they're not quite the same thing. Even like Drax the Destroyer, that's a whole other different character. They never even got into it. I don't know if they'll ever bother to reveal his daughter, Moondragon. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. Maybe. Then there's all those daughters and sons of Marvel. Are they going to? I guess not. But anyway, and you get a spectacular battle. It looks pretty good. There were some complaints I had seen others say. I didn't really see it as all that bad. But then again, I'm very forgiving on special effects and whatnot. As long as the story's good enough, I'll probably sit through just about anything. And it was a good story. Delivers well. The music always bothered me in these movies. It's a thing for it. But the main thing about it is that it's too much of it. And it was the same thing here. As a theme song and opening credits and all that, it's fine. And maybe I've seen here and there because it's in keeping with, Peter Quill and his playlist and all that. But, oh man, it's an intrusion. for quite a bit of it. And that's no different here. I didn't like that, but, what are you going to do? Other people were complaining that the choice of songs wasn't that great. Well, I don't care what the songs were. It still would have bothered me. So, all in all, I think it ended well. And a reunion between Gamora and Peter, based on the circumstances, they didn't really see happening, and they kept to that. Even though at the end she grows to respect him after he's done something so incredibly heroic throughout this adventure, that's understandable, but the idea that she would suddenly kiss him or something like that, no. I suppose it leaves it maybe, but I don't think so. Besides, Zoe Saldana says she's done. So... that's how they leave it, and that's probably more credible on that, because it's the time travel shenanigans of Endgame, and that's that. She's not the same woman that he had that relationship with. She's gone. And that's kind of the thing about being respectful of having lost somebody in these fantastic stories, even though there can be resurrections and time warp shenanigans and whatnot. But when people are gone, they're gone. And as painful as it is, you got to deal with it. And so, especially with in context of what was going on with Rocket, had they done that, hey, there's a sweet, happy ending for Star-Lord and Gamora. And he does go home to be with his grandpa, so you get that. And there's a nod in the end-credit scene to the holiday special in there. And Rocket's in charge, where most of the team is gone. It's him and Groot, Cosmo the dog, James Gunn's brother, I forget his name, and Adam Warlock, who is their main powerhouse now, as long as he figures out what to do. And it's pretty good team, I guess. So anyway, all well and good, and but the MCU brand has suffered such severe damage that this movie probably won't do as good as it should have done. I knew it would do better than the others all along, but the damage of the other movies dragging the brand down has been severe. So I thought, well, they'll get a high boost from Guardians. Not so high, apparently. And all they got to follow is Marvels. And then you got to wait till they shoot Deadpool for the next anything that anyone's going to be excited about. And I don't know. Maybe it'll be all right. But for an overall MCU, don't think so. And how long is it till they get to Spider-Man again? So, great going, Marvel. Great going. So this was the first shot of a high point. And I don't know. Looks like it didn't really deliver as far as that goes. And it's too bad, because it's not a bad film. But again, the brand's already been damaged severely. So there you go. It's a good movie, I think. And again, not a big Guardians fan. My favorite of the batch was the Captain America movies. I think those were the best that they produced for the MCU. And we're likely to never see its like again. And that's too bad. As far as James Gunn on Superman, some of this I was a little concerned. It was reminding me of the type of movies he does. But boy, I tell you, when it got serious and dark for Reporter Rocket, boy, did it. So if there's a middle ground somewhere in there, he might be able to do a pretty good Superman movie. Even though some people are upset because he said their Crypto the Superdog will be in the Superman movie, But boy, does he know how to do CGI animals, So, it could work, So we'll have to see on that. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, I do recommend it. I enjoyed the movie, so check it out.